stands for the Department of Information Technology and Telecommunications. Really get into the basics. Who are we? What services do we provide to the city and all the agencies within the city? But probably most importantly, these 10 points of change, which is just a high-level glimpse into the long-term strategic goals that we have recently laid out for our agency, really for the goal of better serving and empowering our agency customers and all New Yorkers to use technologies in ways that we've never used it before, to do many of the things you heard Clayton talk about: improve connectivity, improve the responsiveness of agencies in delivering services, and I guess also making the city more open in multiple ways, including data. So I'll dive right into it. First, who are we? I'm assuming everyone knows who DoITT is, but for the rare few that don't, we see ourselves as the tech center of excellence for New York City government. We're the central IT agency, the shared services, essential shared services provider for New York City government. We're, I guess, the Swiss Army knife, right, of IT for city agencies. I just came up with that analogy earlier, and someone said not everyone's going to get that if you're a younger generation. So does everyone know what a Swiss Army knife is? Probably, yeah, with Radio Shack. So what do we do? Well, this is just a big, broad summary of the services we provide. We're a service organization, so we provide over 60 unique set of IT services to agencies. Every agency subscribes to a different set of services from us. Some things are ubiquitous, like the city network. Some things vary. One agency may need support for hosting their applications in our data center. Another agency may need help with designing a new modernized system for managing enrollment into the healthcare program. It could be anything under the sun, from fixing a laptop to building enterprise systems to managing a citywide network to broadband. We do all of these things. And so what we've been, I guess, struggling with over the many years is we do so many things for so many agencies. How do we simply describe, right, what we do and who we are? If one of my staff is in an elevator, right, and someone asks him or her, what does DoITT do? Can they give him an answer before that elevator door opens? And the truth is, before, they couldn't. And so we spent a lot of time over this past year really getting a better understanding of who we are in crafting a brand around that's simple, that's clear, so everyone knows who we are. Our employees first and foremost, but also our agency customers, and most importantly, the public. So, simply said, when an agency or a group of agencies or the city has a problem of some sort, we solve it. When an agency needs a solution of some kind, a technology solution, infrastructure, applications, you name it, we build it. When there's an agency that needs DoITT support needs operational support because they don't have the staff for a level 1 service desk or to manage their servers, we will run it. Solve it, build it, run it. That is why we are DoITT, because we do all these things. Well, thank you. Maybe a little cheesy, but I think a little cheese is a good thing, because the thing about cheesy is you remember cheesy. So again, a little deeper into who we are. We're the largest municipal IT agency in America. We are over 1,000 employees strong. We provide, as I said before, a broad range of services. Those are 60 service categories, right? Which actually makes up, over 100 distinct services on a menu that agencies can subscribe to. We serve over 161 agencies or entities. I mean, these are the big guys like DoITT and DEP and NYPD, and these are also the smaller mayoral agencies or commissions. We treat everyone the same. It doesn't matter, right, if you're a huge infrastructure agency or you're a commission, right, of 6. You need IT services, we got the Swiss Army knife. I'm gonna just use that analogy a couple more times. Pick your tool, right? What do you want from us? And we'll solve it, we'll build it, or we'll run it, or we'll do all those things. So let me get into the strategic plan. So one of the things we started to do before we built the plan was something everyone should do before you build a plan, which is ask your customers, how are we doing, and what do you need? What do you want from us? What do you expect of us? How are we performing? So we spent a lot of time getting into that, answering those questions. When I first started a year ago last week, so I have my 1-year anniversary, we sent out a voice of the customer survey. We had workshops with the CIOs for all the various agencies, and we asked them all these questions. And the truth is, they haven't really been asked in quite a while. And it's just so critical that we understand what their needs are and base the plan that we're going to lay out to address those needs and those current and future needs from our agency customers. So we did all that work and then ultimately developed a plan in a structure that's in this triangle that you're seeing on the screen. It's really a plan that we divided up into the things we're going to do across prepare, run, grow, and transform. And I'll explain what these 4 things are, and then we'll get into some of the highlights, right, of what we're up to over the next 3 years. So let's start with prepare. What does prepare mean? Prepare means define and realign. This is about making the appropriate organizational changes that are necessary within DoITT and service offering changes based on what we heard from our customers. Change our menu, basically, our menus, right, so that it's aligned to what our customers need. It's a prerequisite, quite honestly, for us to be able to do everything else I'm going to talk about around run, grow, and transform, which is why prepare is in the center of this triangle. The second is run. Well, that's core to DoITT. DoITT was born as a run organization, infrastructure and operations, right? This is the core services that keep the lights on, right? This is network services, infrastructure, hosting services. These are email services. These are the things that people can't live without. These are the things that when they go down, I lose sleep and I'm up. These are things that cannot fail. These are things that we must continue to keep our eye on and bolster, right? Because at the end of the day, any innovations we're going to do in grow and transform really don't mean a hell of a lot if you can't keep the lights on and keep the lights on. The next is grow, which is enhance and expand. This is the things we're going to do, the services we provide that we know are in great demand by the public and by our city agencies that we need to do more of and faster and better. One of those you just heard about, right, which is universal broadband, and making sure that we meet Mayor de Blasio's commitment for universal broadband for all New Yorkers by 2025. The other is around contracts. Sounds kind of dull and boring. Contracts, what's that all about? Well, it's actually kind of a big deal. One of the highest subscribed services that DoITT provides to all city agencies is Citywide IT contracts for them to procure goods, IT products and services at the best price possible, with the kinds of products and services that they need today and the things that they're planning and need tomorrow. And then there's transform, my favorite triangle. Well, they're all my favorites. Which is create and innovate, which is about transforming the way in which we empower our customers, the agencies, with supporting their operations, and transforming how we leverage technology to improve the digital experience for all New Yorkers through multiple channels. There's three things in particular I'm going to get into in Transform, which is improving the digital experience. That's nyc.gov. What are we doing with that? That's the open data platform. And a few other things we have in the hopper, right, that are just desperately needed. All, by the way, is really worthless or of less value unless we accomplish that first primary goal of being a smart city that you heard Clayton talk about, which is a connected city. If you're not connected, we can have all the digital tools in the world. If you can't access them, what good is it? The second is data sharing. So there's two pieces to data sharing, and again, I'll elaborate more on this later. There's the open data platform, but there's also a plan we have to build the equivalent of the open data platform internally to enable agencies to share data between each other in an easy and simple and secure way so that they can ultimately improve service quality, right, to New Yorkers. And I'll expand on that in a little bit. And the last one in there is DevSecOps. How many people in the audience know what DevSecOps is? Raise your hand. Okay, that's not many. Well, effectively, DevSecOps is a model. It's an operating model for how a IT organization can enable the delivery of digital applications and solutions in lightning speed, in a fraction of the time that it takes to deploy an application today. Not only a fraction of the time to deploy it, but also a framework that enables that application to be continuously enhanced with features. So it always gets better. I'm oversimplifying DevSecOps, but effectively that's it. So from an agency, say DSNY, sanitation, having an idea for a portal for New Yorkers to see or do X to when it's live, right, is, let's just say it's 6 months typically. DevSecOps, 6 days. And then it continues enhancement. This is a game changer. It's techy, but it's powerful. And I'll get more into it in a little bit. I can't forget this part, which is that none of this stuff can happen unless we invest in our people, those 1,000-strong employees, and ensure that they have the skills and the training to execute on all pieces of our strategic plan. All right, so I'm gonna do a rapid fire summary of each of these parts of the plan. I'll start with prepare, and I'll go from prepare, run, grow, transform. So let's start with prepare. Organizational realignment. So a lot of things we've already done here. So first, we know that we are a service organization. So as a service organization, we have to care about the customer experience. We have to live or die by it. We have to look at things like Net Promoter Score. We have to walk into the office every day thinking about how the customer's feeling and whether we're doing everything possible to ensure the highest level customer service. And as a result, we formed the first ever chief customer officer, Patty Bayros, who I hope at some point you'll have a pleasure meeting, and a new function under her called CXM, Customer Experience Management. This is starting to happen in the private sector. We arguably are the first public sector entity to form this kind of division that's singularly focused, right, on the customer experience. So we're really proud of that, and that's happened. Another change is the city's big. We got over 100 agencies. So one of the things we realized in talking to our agencies in the Voice of the Customer surveys is, how can DoITT provide value, not just for an individual agency, but for a cluster of agencies within a specific functional domain? So for example, we know that, actually let me just skip to the next slide. What we figured out is you can take the whole city of New York and all those agencies within it and organize them into these 6 clusters. Housing and economic development, infrastructure operations, health and human services, education. There's obviously several agencies, right, that fall within these clusters, but they all have the same functional mission. Now, why is this important? Because it turns out a lot of the challenges or opportunities to improve services to New Yorkers can only be dealt with and resolved and improved upon if looking across agencies, not just with one agency. Processes that many of you use today actually run horizontally across not just one agency, but 5 agencies. And so what we realize is, as the central center of expertise for New York City government, we need to take a hard position in realigning our department in a way where we can serve not just individual agencies, but these clusters as well, in a formal way. Find out from the Health and Human Services and Education cluster and all the CIOs within that cluster and all the commissioners within that cluster and the deputy mayor. In fact, the deputy mayor structure for New York City government aligns very closely to this cluster structure. What problems can we solve? What opportunities are there, right, to improve services, and take that on and deliver more value than we ever have before, because we're looking horizontally, not vertically. We also stood up a new division called the Chief Operating Officer Division. Why is this a big deal? Well, I talked about DevOps, DevSecOps. The thing about DevSecOps in this vision of deploying an application from 6 months to 6 days is that it's really hard to do based on the way IT organizations are organized today. The traditional IT organization has siloed functions. There's the storage team. There's the network team. There's the server team. You sound familiar, right? Well, when you're operating in DevOps, right, you can't be structured that way. This is teams that are cross-functional, where you have a network, server, storage, development, right, resources, all working together, right, using the same process to help facilitate the deployment of an application quickly, right? And so that's a big deal for us to achieve that transform goal. And the last one I want to mention, which I think is an absolute game changer, is a new division we stood up called DMI. DMI stands for Data Management and Integration, and our first ever DoITT Chief Data Officer. Why does that matter? Well, data is the new oil. Data is everything. And data, if used wisely, and of course we will, can be the singular thing that creates insights, right, for the city to make decisions that could radically improve services and quality of life for every New Yorker. I gotta go faster, so let me skip through. Next, service offerings. Very quickly, I mentioned that we, as part of a prepare step, we need to relook at this menu, right, as if you're at a restaurant, this menu of services that we got, and start asking some really tough questions around whether some of these items no one's ordering. Some of these items people are ordering, but they really just hate it. And then there's things that aren't on the menu, right, that are being asked for, have been asked for of DoITT for years, right, that we need to actually listen and add, right, to the menu. We actually may need multiple menus depending on the customers. And that's the kind of work that we're getting into right now. And that's all preparation. Getting into run, IT operational excellence sort of speaks for itself. You know, we got to keep the lights on better, right? The strategy here will be really around first embracing ITSM, IT service management, which is sort of the best practice, textbook best practice way to run IT, to run the core operations of IT. But the other thing I'm really excited about is this last bullet, which is AI ops. It's spreading across IT departments, private and public sector, but it's the use of AI to automate and streamline the what is today manual steps to monitor and run and keep these services going. Predictive analytics is a big piece of this. So the example I'll give you is today, if there's an outage for a major system that all of you use, we do a great job to get alerted, right, that it's down, parachute a team, right, to fix it, get it back up, right, and that mean time to repair, which is a big metric we look at, is small. Awesome. But how about this? What if we had tools that are monitoring these critical services and can tell us that there's an 80% probability, an 82% probability that the network is going to go down? It's not down yet, right? But it's analyzing the data in real time and alerting us that it might go down. And then we trigger a ticket to go send a team to evaluate what's going on with the network and address an issue so the network stays up and no one will ever know. That's a game changer. And so we're going to go all in on AI ops. Administrative excellence. One thing that's unique about DoITT is we are a technology center of excellence, but technology isn't all we do. We're a huge organization, and there's a massive army of administrative experts, people in the finance department, in the contracts department. We have a large legal department, right, as well. Facilities, communications, external affairs. These people are administrative and support organizations that help the operations guys do their and gals do their work. But we can't undersell their value, right? They are absolutely critical, right, to the core to the core of what we do. And the goal is, of course, to enhance those services in various ways. In particular, add more people. Because our services are going up, our needs are going up, and we need a lot more administrative support, and we're going to plan to do that. Contracts I already talked about. Virtually 80% of the total buy of IT products and services across agencies is through contract vehicles that DoITT stood up. It was our team that negotiated the deal, right, with Dell or Adobe, right, or VMware. Went through the cycle of contracting, legal review, and then making it available. That's a huge deal because acquisition is typically a challenge, right, in government. But we're trying to make it easy, and it's these guys, right, that are doing the work, and these contracts are enabling them to get the stuff they need to serve their agencies and the city to ultimately serve all of you. The other thing that I can't understate is MWBEs. The mayor, I'm sure have heard, is very focused on doubling down on ensuring that we expand the amount we spend with MWBEs, and we're doing that. We've been doing that, and we're just going to double down and do it even more moving forward. Universal broadband. Yes, this is a big one. So this is in our strategic plan. There are several strategies that we are developing as we speak to make this happen. This is in collaboration, close collaboration with the CTO's office, which I think some of you may be familiar with, who really owns the broadband overall strategy and policies. But the execution and delivery, right, of universal broadband will be within our agency, DoITT. When I say broadband, I mean many things. So first, there's cellular service, and this is, again, you heard sort of what we're going to do to accelerate getting 5G in this city everywhere. And first in areas, right, that are in neighborhoods that are disadvantaged that don't have it. We're gonna do that first. The best stuff is gonna go to the folks that have been neglected. And that's a commitment we have. Because it's been uneven for entirely too long. So it's time to even things out. That's equity. The other thing is public Wi-Fi. So many of you have seen the Link NYC kiosks around the city. We have about 1,867 kiosks so far. They're in Manhattan, they're in Brooklyn, they're expanding into the outer boroughs. We're partnering with Citybridge Intersection, a third party, through a franchise agreement to see what we can do to get that program expanded, accelerate delivery, accelerate those kiosks, right? So we can have this broad, persistent, high-speed, free public Wi-Fi network across all 5 boroughs. And then, of course, there's broadband itself, cable broadband, which is administered through our agency. You heard a little bit about some of the challenges in that environment. Cost a lot. What did you say? $140? That's actually about what I pay. But everyone's paying that. Some people can't afford it, is the problem. And so we are doing some things I can't talk about on stage that I believe, will change the game and deliver on what Clayton articulated around delivering affordable, high-speed, equitably distributed broadband across this city. Data sharing, real quick one on this. So I mentioned first that we are going to stand up the first ever enterprise data platform internally within city government. This does not exist today. We have some legacy tools that enable some data from agency A to share with agency C, and it's not the easiest thing in the world. And honestly, it's holding us back. It's holding agencies back with having the data from other agencies to produce insights that will enable them to really improve the services they're delivering. So we're gonna build this platform and provide a suite of data services that are self-service, right, for agencies to be able to easily share data between each other. And that, I think, will be a game changer. The other thing we're gonna look at is providing a suite of integration tools for agency CIOs so they can easily connect one application to another. Why do you think that's a big deal? Well, a lot of processes that we have today, that New Yorkers use today, you may wonder why it takes so long, for example. Like, why does a permit or a license take X days? Well, in large part, it's because, first off, the process cuts across agencies. But if you look under the hood, the deeper issue is that the applications that are within those agencies aren't connected to each other. So the workflow is disconnected. So there's manual handoffs that are occurring. Manual handoffs means time's passing, and you're waiting. And ultimately, you may not be happy with how long it takes to get A, B, or C. So integrating applications improves services. If we can make it easy, and that's something we're gonna do. DevSecOps I already went into, but this is gonna be a game changer for sure, right? Provide new technologies that we're already piloting that will enable a developer to get from idea, right, to production in a fraction of the time that it would take today, and never having to worry about whether it's gonna run in the cloud, or which cloud, or on-prem. We shouldn't care or ask. You come to do it, you want an application, we'll give you a platform to deploy your code, and we'll guarantee service levels. And you shouldn't care if it's running in AWS or Azure or on-prem or whatever. We got that covered. And that's where we're going, and that's where the industry's going. Digital experience. So, a few things here. First, we are going to modernize nyc.gov. We are going to personalize nyc.gov and 311. We're going to invest in ensuring these digital tools are accessible to everybody. And we are going to provide some capability to enable the civic tech community to leverage APIs for those tech folks in the room, to expose an SDK, as a suite of city APIs. 311, for example, when we go live with the new platform very soon, we will also be rolling out a suite of APIs for the community and civic tech companies to use these APIs to build solutions of their own. So we want to give the community the tools to be able to innovate, right, and create insights by themselves. And so that's all coming very, very soon. Open data, I can't forget. Open data is easily one of our most successful platforms. It today houses over 2,300 data sets, increases transparency of government. Many applications, right, are being built off of open data that's data sets that are on the open data platform. We're doubling down on this, right? I think we're going to hit about 3,000 data sets in the next couple of months. We're going to go deeper, provide more high-value data sets, provide more APIs, and then also, I think, probably most importantly, make the open data platform not only something that a data scientist, right, would want to use to extract data and get an understanding of what's going on in their neighborhood or in the city, but have visualizations built there, right? So for anyone, right, to just go to the site and see a map and say, huh, here's what's going on in Williamsburg, or here's what's going on in Harlem, right? Make it simple, make it easy, and make it available on this open data platform. And other channels as well, right? So it doesn't matter where you go, you'll have the ability to see what's happening in your neighborhood. Workforce excellence, people are everything. So everything I just described, it can't happen, right? Unless we invest in our people, in equipping them with what they need to be successful. Both here in New York City government, but also wherever they go, right, after they leave our agency, if they leave, but they won't because we're so awesome. And that is it. I tried, Stephanie. All right, thank you, guys. I think we're going to do some Q&A, right?
One more time for Samir. That's pretty transparent. Great work you're doing. I'm going to ask the first question. Do you have enough money to do all you are talking about? I mean, that's a lot of work. Is the mayor giving you the resources you need to really make this happen? I'm sorry, what? Oh, okay. Is that one working now?
Great question. So there's going to be a hat I'm passing out in a second. Please contribute as much as you can. We prefer anything that folds, not jingles. No, we actually are well funded to execute on the plan. Look, the budget, the city budget, preliminary budget just got released last week. And for those of you that saw it, there's the budget's bigger, but there are some challenges citywide, right? That mean that some of the things that we laid out in the plan we can't do immediately, right? But we can do, right, in the following years. So, long story short, I'm not worried about the funding. Truly, the effort on our side is to prioritize all that work, right? And really identify the things that can make the highest impact, right, to New Yorkers and agencies, and invest in those, which we should have the money for, right? And then see where things go, right, next year and next budget cycle, right, and keep it going. But the key is stick to the plan, right?
How much is the private sector partnering with you on some of these initiatives? I mean, are we all invited to participate in some sort of way?
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, the reality is none of these 10 points of change are achievable just by my team. We have private sector partners scattered, right, all over it, and we're looking for some new ones. What you just saw is a high-level summary, right, of the 10 points of change. What you're going to see in the next 3 weeks is the detailed strategic plan that lays out very specifically what the objectives, goals, initiatives, measures will be for us to actually execute, and the roadmap, the timeline for us to execute on these 10 points of change. And that plan will be vendor agnostic, but we're publishing it in the public domain on purpose because we want vendors to look at the plan and come to us and say, hey, I looked at page 32, right, for point 4, and there's strategic initiative 4.6, and you're looking to deploy a data catalog, right? And hey, I got one, right? And that's what's going to drive the conversation. So I want to change this. I just want to change the way we work with vendors. There's so many vendors out there and a lot of them are amazing. They're all amazing. But the challenge is it's our responsibility, I believe, to share what our priorities are, what we want to do, so that vendors can come to us and tell us what they can offer that aligns to that plan, not tell us their menu of services, right? So that we could sort of, get lost in that conversation, right? Just because of the sheer volume of vendors out there that want to partner with us. So I think it's a smart way for us to partner with the private sector.
Good. I'm going to take some questions from the audience. And to that point, though, Samir, we got a lot of folks that will want to be a part of this ecosystem that you're building. Let's start with Hans over here.
Okay, I am curious to know if DoITT is in charge of the privacy angle. I was covering a story that was saying a lot of the facial recognition was discriminating against black women and claiming they were black men. And as you roll out these personalized 311 things,
Sure.
will it affect New York being a safe city and down the line?
Sure. So on the topic of privacy, a few things. So first off, privacy is of utmost importance and a priority for the mayor. He says it all the time, and we backed it up. Recently, the mayor's hired a chief privacy officer, who's incredible. And actually, she was at the hearing yesterday. Singularly focused on ensuring, right, the privacy of New Yorkers' data, and issuing policies, right, and laws, right, that will ensure privacy for New Yorkers across the board. And so these policies will apply to all agencies, including and technologies like facial recognition, right? Facial recognition right now is not allowed, and that's not happening. And the reason that's not happening is because we've codified that that's something that we think is unacceptable, because it does breach privacy.
We got a privacy wonk in here.
So does that mean everyone else is like okay with? Just who cares, right?
We got another question
Privacy,
here.
not a big deal.
Thank you. You talked briefly about the digital experience of improving, like say NewYorkCity.gov, which a lot of times, with a lot of people that I may work with, they consider it very frustrating and
Sure.
somewhat elusive and hard.
Sure.
But these are services that are really important for a lot of people in the city. When you say you're going to be rolling it out, is there a timeline for
Yeah.
when we expect people to really be able to experience, get
Yes.
a better digital experience?
Absolutely. So the first thing we're going to be doing to improve the digital experience, we'll be focusing on 311. 311 is and again, 311 is part of NYC.gov, right? But it's its own thing in itself. There's a huge effort right now to first and foremost modernize the 311 platform. Many of you may not be aware, but the 311 system is 16 years old. And the good news is we were the first city, I believe, to launch, right, 311, which is amazing, by the way, because then everyone else followed. And also, where the volume of service requests, right, and utilization of our 311 is equal to the total volume of all 311, right, operations across the entire country combined. So we are by far the largest 311 operation, right, in the country, but it's an old system. And that old system's preventing us from doing a lot of the modernization that New Yorkers expect, both on the website and on the app. So we've been at it for a little while. This year, we will have a new modern 311 platform. Now, well, don't applause yet. So keeping it real, the plumbing needs to change, right? And so for those techies out there, we're replatforming this thing, right? From, well, I don't want to describe what it's on now, but we're moving to the cloud. Let's put it that way. So the new platform will be in the cloud, and it's going to enable us to do a host of amazing things. And that replatforming is going to happen this year. And as well, we're hoping by the end of the year, if not the beginning of next year, a new 311 app, right, as well, that provides a broader set of features, right, for New Yorkers. So we're focusing on 311, right, first. NYC.gov is going to be the next thing, right, we get into. In some ways, we're looking at strategies to sort of integrate, right, 311 and NYC.gov. Really, there should be one thing you go to, right, for city services. And so we're going to make that happen. That's, yeah.
Here's another question.
Hi, how are you? As I listened to the presentation, I think it's great. One of the concerns I have drills down to the actual community. How do you plan on educating the community about the actual services that are being offered, about the changes that are going to happen? How are you going to educate some of the,
Sure.
as you say, people who don't have the access on even how to use these services?
I'm smiling because...
Can I ask a question, Samir?
Yeah, sure.
You heard open data. You hear about NYC's data and how it's ours and we're supposed to use it. So just by a show of hands, how many people have actually gone into that open portal, have scraped it in some sort of way to figure out some sort of issue to a problem? So I would say it's about a third of the people, which is
but
impressive.
actually, I'm pretty impressed.
I am
That's
too.
a third of this group.
I'm not the only geek uptown. That's good to know. It's really good to know.
But to answer your question, because it's an excellent question, and ironically, I was just in a meeting with some of my staff yesterday to talk about this very thing. Now, we're going to build all this great stuff. But how do it's only as good as people being aware it exists and knowing how to use it. So what that really translates to is a plan that we're beginning to kick off to create the first ever marketing function within our agency for the digital products, right, that we build for. And we see 311 as a product. It's a digital product, right? And we want it, it's a thing in itself, right? That needs to be continuously enhanced, right? It needs to be maintained, right? It needs to be marketed, right? So people know every month when we deploy new features what these features are, right? And how they can use them to help improve their day-to-day lives. So timely question, we're on it.
And we're on it too. Silicon Harlem's going to make sure Uptown knows what's up.
Yeah, hi Samir, how are you?
All right.
Thanks for the presentation. Until about a year ago, I think we all in East Harlem noticed a big deployment of Link NYC kiosks along the main corridors of East Harlem, particularly 3rd Avenue. But then suddenly everything stopped.
Yes.
We haven't seen any movement. Could you elaborate if that is part of the budget constraints or something?
Yeah. So we are. So first off,
Can I say this, Samir? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no problem.
so we testified for City Bridge and all that back in the day, and so one of the statistics that's really interesting to us is that we have more kiosks in Harlem than any other neighborhood in the city,
It's true.
and it's largely due to the fact that we had a voice at the table.
Right.
However, to Pablo's question, the question is, when will we see the density that has been promised over the years?
So we are. So first off, the arrangement, so everyone understands, we have a franchise agreement, right, with a separate entity called City Bridge. This is an intersection. I think there's someone from City Bridge in the room. And
Who's
they
from
don't-
City Bridge or intersection or any of that stuff? Oh, I know who it is.
Well, just to call that person out. No. So
left.
we are working closely with City Bridge to figure out ways to accelerate the deployment of these kiosks. There's different issues that we're being challenged with right now. In some cases, we have kiosks that are installed already, but they're not activated, right? And that is an issue around power. And so there's some things we're dealing with on the Con Ed side, right, that we have to address. I'm saying this is it's a complex answer because there's multiple things that are occurring that are not allowing us to move the program as fast as we want it to. Things are still moving, right? But we got to address some of these things. And the bottom line is we're aware of it. We're working with City Bridge. We're working with heavily. We want this program to be successful. We want these kiosks everywhere. We want persistent connections. But there's some battles that we're fighting to ensure that happens. But you saw it's in the plan. If it's in the plan, it means the priority, which means we have people on it. If it wasn't in the plan, you should be yelling at me saying, well, what's going on, right? But it is a priority of ours. So our hope is this year we get this program back on track, right? And accelerate the deployment of those kiosks, right? In particular in the areas where, like here, right? Where we believe it's of more value. So
You know, what's interesting is, has everyone connected to a Link NYC at one point or another? If you haven't, it's faster than any office you've been in. It's faster than your home. You're talking about a gigabit speed coming out of those kiosks. It's super fast. That's why you're seeing people just hang around them, because they're like really fast. Even, unfortunately, some of our kids have to use those things to get their homework done.
you know, it's funny. When you look at the data on utilization for the links, it's funny because there's certain links that get just incredible utilization, and when you look at where they are, I imagine if you're in a multifamily building and your unit's right above the link, you may be connecting to the network.
People
Good news is
creative.
there's plenty of bandwidth.
There's plenty of bandwidth
to go around,
and more to come. And for us, we think it's obviously a good move for the city, but that's outdoor. Even though you can try to get it inside, but it's really an outdoor network, and we hope to bridge that gap for indoor. I'm going to take 2 more questions because we're going to have some closing remarks. I've got some suggestions and asks for you, Samir. So let me run over here to Quinn and see what he has to say. Make it a question, will you?
I just want to know what the time frame is or the plans to update the New York City broadband maps or the New York City open data, using transparency to drive costs down. So like if we knew where the fiber providers, where they had network in the street, and we're able to get pricing, then the market should be able to lower the prices for everybody. And I guess that ties into where you guys, are tasked with protecting your vendors and your city agencies. How do you balance that with the general needs of the public?
Understood. So just to sort of rephrase the question, so this is about posting, making available fiber infrastructure data and maps within on the open data platform. So there's a few issues there. So first off, much of the fiber infrastructure, right, is underground, right, is for the privately owned, right, privately owned fiber infrastructure. We don't have access, right, to those.
But isn't the whole reason why we deregulate it was to create competition so we could drive the prices down?
True, but in terms of legally, right, our ability to publish confidential fiber infrastructure data from Verizon can't do that.
Joe,
Right.
Joe, let him
but
just
but
answer.
but I'll tell you this: we're for public in fiber infrastructure, right? Infrastructure that is city owned, right? That's certainly information that we can make available because that's in the public domain, and if that's not there, we'll take that on and actually see whether it is, because of course the city has fiber assets, right? A conduit and dark fiber, right? Available.
Requires that they update their as-built plans as they build the network out.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
All right, we'll go to the next question. You ready? Okay.
Hi. Could you describe what the status is of voice communications among emergency responders? Police, subway police, fire, sanitation, health.
Sure. So, voice specifically?
Can they talk to each other real fast in an emergency?
Yes, short answer. And in fact, there's a massive modernization project for a new radio system that's being deployed. I believe I can say this, it's Motorola infrastructure that's going to make it even better. Today they can, of course, communicate in real time, right, via voice, all public safety functions. But the infrastructure that the radio systems are using are becoming end of life. And we've gotten funded, and we're actually moving forward with the modernization of that infrastructure. So that's good news.
All right, last question, and then we'll go into our closing comments.
We can talk offline.
Good evening, Mr. Commissioner. Glad to see you uptown again. When we first met, it was
That's right.
118th Street.
That's
and you said
right.
you were
You
going
remember.
to come, so here you are.
I'm here.
Glad you joined us. And my easy question, you know I have the other kind, but my easy question, Mr. Commissioner, with the elevation of Presidente Felix V. Mataros Rodriguez from the presidency of Queens College to the chancellorship of the City University, will that favorably impact the tech hub that's going to rise on East 14th Street, and are other CUNY partnerships growing well, scaling up well?
So I'm not sure I can answer that. So I actually don't know the answer to that. So I can find out for you. So we'll take a note, right, and I'll make sure you get an answer. Right. Sorry.
Well, let's give Samir and one more hand. It's not every day you get to get the real rundown from a commissioner of a major agency. So Samir, I'll let you have the final word, but if I could, one of the things, and for everybody here, if you don't know, we have another space now, a new space. Silicon Harlem headquarters is now on 148th and 8th. You're all invited to come and check it out. You can't sit down because there's no chairs, but we're building it out. And one of the sitting is the new smoking. Well, that's true. That's true. So what we want to do is turn that space into a real community space, a real next generation community space, if you will. So it's going to be filled with all types of advanced technology that a lot of us don't always get the exposure to. But also, it's going to be a space where you can have events in our space. You can do training. You can do educational programs, all these type of things that we're trying to ensure that the community has a space that goes beyond co-working, right? You can also do that. You can come in, sit down, and get work done. And one of the things we're hoping, and I hope that my ask is to have another meeting with you. When we testified for the Link NYC, we were the ones that suggested the gigabit centers. None of them have happened yet. We have been lobbying to be located in Harlem, and now we have the right space that we think are meeting the specs. So we'd love to talk to you separately about that. That's one ask. Also, I'd like for you to buy me a lottery ticket. No, I'm just kidding. That's a different story. But one of the things that's happening is we're getting almost like a mini data center built in Upper Manhattan, and by the great contributions from private sector, particularly Microsoft, and I see John Paul Farmer here, and he's been a great advocate for Silicon Harlem. So we're going to have basically a mini data center in Upper Manhattan. And so we're very excited about that. So we have the infrastructure. We really want to make that happen. I think it'll support all of our dreams of having a better economic engine, creating the jobs, creating the workforce, the talent, all of that stuff. My final comment is just thank you. We don't always hear the full rundown of a particular agency. DoITT is so vital to our infrastructure in Upper Manhattan, but all throughout New York City. I think it's great that your vision is make things more accessible, make things more simple, make things run. I mean, I really appreciate that vision. And what I think you're going to need, Samir, over the next few years, is you're going to need the public to get behind your idea. And so coming here, these are people in this audience that are leading companies, leading organizations, leading policy, promoting this and that. You've got private sector here, you've got public sector here, you've got people that are serving on community boards here. These are the people that can help you get that vision a lot quicker. And they're the very same people that can stop it. So my point is, we want to be on the side that you're talking about, the side of progress. So if I could, I'm going to let you have the last word. And we've got, by the way, happy Valentine's Day is coming tomorrow. So when you walk out of here, we made arrangements to have some chocolate available. So I know not everybody eats chocolate, but chocolate is here. And please enjoy and continue to network. You know, one of the great things that come out of these type of meetups and meetings is people meet each other. So there are people in this room right now that have jobs available. There are people in this room who are raising funds. There are people in here who can invest. So there's a lot of people you're going to want to meet. A lot of talented people are in this very room. We've got a young man here who's come into Harlem, who's working with the American Cancer Society, and is doing great. That's him right there. Stand up, man. So he is a real resource here. I don't want to get into it because my sister has cancer right now, and I'll start bawling. But it's a big deal to have someone come and educate the community about the resources that they have to help save lives and all that kind of stuff. So we've been very happy to have him join the Silicon Harlem movement. And all the other talented, great people that are representing so many things. Jerry Pollard's here from Upstate, and of course our great partners, Sky Packets, Ted Schulman. I mean, there's just people I could go on and on because I know every one of you. So, last word, and we're out of here.
Last words again. Thank you, Clay. Thank you, Silicon Harlem. This is a huge opportunity just to share our story. And next opportunity, I get to share a progress update. right, on where we are against the plan, I'd be happy to come back, right, and do that. I'll leave you with just two things. You're in an elevator, and someone asks you, have you heard of DoITT? What do they do? Like, who are they? What I'd love for you to say is they're the tech COE for NYC. And then if they ask you, what do they do? What I'd love for you to say is, well, they solve it, they build it, they run it. That's why they're doing it. That's all I ask. Thank you very much.
Very good. All right. Get some chocolate. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you for coming out.